when we are purely playing, when we are in true play, it's pure joy, and it is absolute freedom. The idea is that we are going to try something that we've never tried before. We're going to go someplace we've never gone before. Play is all about experimentation, and experimentation is all about following our curiosity, allowing that to be the thing that leads us without worrying about any preconceived notions of what this is all about or how it's supposed to look, any of that stuff.
Welcome. Here we are again for another episode of the Create, Play, Live podcast. I am your host, Nanette Saylor, and I am excited to be here with you today. As always, thrilled that you are taking the time, your very precious time, to spend a few minutes with me, to listen in, to be inspired, to soak up some energy, some excitement, some motivation, all kinds of other things that come, those aha moments, that little snippet of excitement, whatever it is that you draw from listening into these conversations about creativity, playing in life, living full out, being your best self, stepping up, opening up, most importantly, opening up to the possibilities that are limitless, never-ending, abundant, overflowing, all of those things that we know or that we are coming to know, that I certainly am coming to know, are a part of living our very best lives with joy, with ease, in flow. Yeah, all of that. So today I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron's body of work, and most importantly, the two basic tools that are a part of the practice. And the reason I wanted to give this some attention today is, one, it's top of mind for me because I am part of a creative cluster. We are into now week 5 of the 12-week Artist's Way journey. And whatever it is that you end up listening to this episode, it's all good. The timing isn't really that significant, other than to know that I have been a part of, now this is my 5th go around in a creative cluster doing the work of Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. It's designed as a 12-week practice. Each week we come together in person as a gathering of people who are declaring our intention to do the work and sharing our experience. Most importantly, my hope today is that you will be introduced, if you haven't been before, to the basic tools of the Artist's Way, and know that these basic tools can be used at any time. You don't have to be reading the book. You don't have to be doing the tasks at the end of each chapter. You can adopt the practice of a daily practice that includes one of these tools, and invite yourself to open up to the possibility of the second weekly tool and see where it takes you. Know that it's my experience and the experience of everyone I speak to or have had the pleasure of sharing the Artist's Way journey with, that you will open up yourself to new possibilities. You will begin to see the world with new eyes. You will absolutely expand your creative potential, and so much more. Most of which you won't even realize has happened until far after you have begun this process. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to the two basic tools of Julia Cameron's Artist's Way. The first is what she calls morning pages. Many of you might recognize this as daily journaling. The beauty of the morning pages practice is that the intention is simply you rise in the morning, open a journal or some pages of notepaper, and write whatever comes to mind. Free flow. In some circles, you might know it as a brain dump. Literally, open the page and begin to write. Even if your beginning writings sound like, I don't know what to write today. Today is whatever today's date is. It's XYZ time in the morning, and I have no idea what to write. I'm sitting here moving the pen or pencil, and I'm making little squiggly lines, but there's nothing important that seems to be coming to mind, so I think I'll just continue to move my pencil on the paper in wavy lines. That literally may be what your first morning pages look like. And here's the secret. That is absolutely okay. The key is that you make an effort to get up every day and write something, and that you do it longhand, meaning you do it on paper with a pencil or a pen, not on your phone, not on your computer, not with a keyboard, longhand. And that you do it for 3 pages as best you can. Of course, there is no judgment here about right or wrong. There is no judgment here about I did or I didn't. There is no judgment about today I only got a page written and tomorrow I'm going to try to get to 3. And know that the practice is most effective and generates the most reward in your expanded creative essence when it is that you find the time and the space and the willingness to write 3 pages longhand. That is the morning pages practice. From The Artist's Way, I will read to you exactly what Julia Cameron says about these basic tools. They are pivotal tools in your creative recovery. A lasting creative awakening requires the consistent use of both. The 2 tools are the morning pages and an artist's date. And I'll be talking about an artist's date in a minute. Julia introduces them in the very beginning of the text of The Artist's Way, and she goes on to say that she likes to introduce both of these tools immediately because her belief is that in order to retrieve your creativity, to reconnect to that part of ourselves that is our creative energy, you need to find it. And she begins by saying that you can find it through this apparently pointless process called the morning pages. You see, the key to morning pages is it is random drivel 99% of the time in my experience. There is nothing that is going to come forward that it will feel like some profound poetic expression. That is rarely what happens in the morning pages. What does happen in the morning pages is that you clear space for new to come in. They're sometimes called a brain drain. You heard me call them a brain dump. And there is no wrong way to do them. They are not meant to be art, she declares very boldly. They're not even meant to be writing. Writing is simply one of the tools. Pages are meant to be, and I'm reading from the story here, page 10. Pages are meant to be simply the act of moving the hand across the page and writing down whatever whatever comes to mind. Nothing is too petty, too silly, too stupid, or too weird to be included. They are not supposed to sound smart, although sometimes they might, and most times they won't. And the greatest secret of all is that no one will know except you. Morning pages are not intended to be shared with anyone. This is your private experience. You simply write 3 pages every morning. Get up and go to the page and write. And when you're done, you close it and move on with your day. The morning pages are a primary tool of creative recovery. When we are blocked artists, we criticize ourselves mercilessly, Julia goes on to say. Even if we look like functioning artists to the world, we feel we never do enough and what we do isn't right. Oh boy, let me say that again. As blocked artists, we tend to criticize ourselves mercilessly. Even if we look like functioning artists to the world, we feel we never do enough and what we do isn't right. I don't know about you, but yeah, I fall into that category often. We are victims of our own internalized perfectionist, a nasty internal and eternal critic, Julia Cameron calls the censor, who resides in our left brain and keeps up a constant stream of subversive remarks that are often disguised as the truth. The censor says wonderful things like, "You call that writing? What a joke. You can't even punctuate. If you haven't done it by now, you never will. You can't even spell. What makes you think you can be creative?" And so on, and so on, and so on. Julia goes on to say in this opening section on the basic tools that she invites you to make a rule. Always remember that your censor's negative opinions are not the truth. And yes, it takes practice to begin to recognize that. And that's the value your pages bring to your creative recovery. 3 pages of whatever crosses your mind. That's all there is to it. That is the morning pages process and the morning pages practice. And trust me, in the beginning, you will feel like this is a waste of time. Because, as I said before, it's unlikely that anything profound is going to come spewing out of you in these wee early morning hours. And you'll begin to wonder why you are doing this. And then some point along the way, you will be able to step back and look and see that suddenly you have more inspiration. Suddenly, you're trying things you wouldn't have tried before. Suddenly, you're branching out. Opportunities are showing up. You're having conversations with people who are in a position to influence your art making, whatever that looks like. You're picking up a project that's been left incomplete for a long time and suddenly completing it. That's what will begin to happen when you take on this daily practice of morning pages. So I want to invite you to consider the possibility that you can do this. And I want to invite you to consider the possibility that you might take on the challenge of 12 weeks of morning pages. And even if 12 weeks seems like an extraordinary length of time, might you consider the possibility that you could do this for 30 days? And here's my special invitation and special permission slip for you. If you miss a day, It's okay. You simply pick up and write tomorrow. Again, no judgment here. Simply awareness, noticing how it is that you go to the page, how it is that you show up, how it is on those days that you don't, and what happens that gets in your way. Set the intention to do it more often than not, and then observe what happens. It is a magical practice. Here's what I know for sure. You will never know the benefits if you never do it. If you allow your resistance to hold you back, if you allow that voice in your head to say, this is silly, it doesn't make any sense, I don't have the time, I can't do it, I don't want to write, my hand hurts, I don't have a book, this is the wrong pen. I can come up with a million reasons why I don't write on the days that I don't write. The list is endless, and I can certainly reach out to plenty of people who have been on this journey with me and get them to write an even longer list of all the reasons they don't write. That's easy. The harder part is to show up and commit to the practice. I will guarantee you that when you do this, you will experience an uplifting in your creative energy like you have never experienced before. There is no one that I know who has ever done this who can say that they did not benefit from the experience. Amazing things will happen, most of which are not what you intended or expected. That doesn't make them any less amazing or magical. Yeah. Daily practice changes lives. Daily practice transforms your stuckness into magical evolution of new ideas and experiences that become your creative expression, whatever form that takes. So the morning pages is the daily practice. And some people will add writing 5 things I'm grateful for today. Some people will add a forgiveness prayer, offering up an opportunity to forgive yourself and others for things that are getting in your way. Some people will add a statement or declaration of your intention for the day. Some people will add an expansion on an intention, a bigger intention, a bigger vision. Some people will add affirmations to their morning pages writing. Some people will add I am statements. You can make your morning pages writing anything you'd like it to be. This is your opportunity to open your day by clearing whatever it is that you're waking up with on your mind, allowing that to flow onto the page. That clearing is vital to our creative discovery and recovery. And when you're in that practice of clearing, now comes the addition of the next practice. This one isn't daily, this one is weekly, and this is the practice of the artist's date. And I may have mentioned this before in other podcast episodes. The artist's date is an opportunity for you to take yourself out to refill your well. There are a couple of special instructions about artist's dates that are very important. As with the morning pages, there are some intentions with the way that this experience is brought into your life that are critical to the way that you receive the benefit of it. The artist date, the most important caveat in the artist date experience is that you take yourself out to do something that fills your creative well, something that inspires, something that might even feel a little bit mischievous, something that invites you to explore, something that is you following your curiosity to a new place, a new idea, a new experience. And the artist date is done alone. Once a week, I invite you to take yourself out for an hour or two without any friends, without a spouse, without a significant other, without a child. Take yourself on a date. The reason for this, of course, is that when we really observe ourselves, we recognize that when we are in group, when we are having an experience with others who matter to us, often we as creatives, we will defer to our friends, our family, our children, to their needs, to their intentions, to their desires. In a museum with your spouse or your child or your best friend, if they want to go to the room to the left to see that particular part of the exhibit and you really wanted to go to the room to the right, it's pretty likely that you're going to end up at the room to the left. That's the reason for you going on this date by yourself. You get to follow your curiosity. You get to allow your interest and intrigue to pull you without any interruption, without any influence from anybody else. It really is a phenomenal experience. Now, many of you will resist because it's been a long time since you've ever been out on your own to have this kind of experience. Many of you will resist going to an art class or a movie even by yourself because you haven't done it in so very, very long. And for some of you, you may have never done it. And this is a good time for me to add that an artist date does not need to be an art class or a trip to the museum or a concert or a movie. An artist date could be you going to the farmer's market by yourself and wandering and simply observing the colors, the shapes, the textures, the senses, inviting yourself to see this place and these exhibits, these booths, these vendors with new eyes. That may be what your artist date looks like when you first go there. Julia Cameron includes in her first chapter on the basic tools that art is an image-using system. In order to create, we draw from our inner well. This inner well, an artistic reservoir, is ideally like a well-stocked trout pond. We've got big fish, little fish, fat fish, skinny fish, an abundance of artistic fish to fry. As artists, we must realize that we have to maintain this artistic ecosystem. If we don't give some attention to upkeep, our well is apt to become depleted, stagnant, or blocked. Any extended period or piece of work draws heavily on our artistic well. Overtapping the well leaves us with diminished resources. As artists, we must learn to be self-nourishing. We must become alert enough to consciously replenish our creative resources as we draw on them to restock the trout pond, so to speak. This is the process of filling the well. This is the process of filling the well, Julia Cameron says. That is the purpose of the basic tool called the artist's date. This is where you refill the well. We feed ourselves images, and when thinking about the things that will help us to fill the well, we want to think magic. We want to think delight. We want to think fun, not duty. Don't think of this as a requirement. Think of this as an adventure. Think of this as an experience. Think of this as an opportunity to expand. And this is an opportunity to, when you're by yourself, give this moment in time, give this adventure your full, focused attention. This is an opportunity to test and to stretch and to lean into seeing with new eyes, hearing with the ears of concert pianist, to see all of those things. It's all the experience that the artist date brings. This is what you are trying to capture. This is your opportunity to take your artist child out into the world, to nurture her or him, to love that child, to give that child your full attention. This is what your inner artist is craving, and that is the purpose of your artist's date. It isn't about how much money you can spend. It isn't about how fancy a picture you paint in your art class. It's about giving your inner child some love and attention with regularity. Commit to this time on a weekly basis, and I promise you, you will find yourself filled up with creative inspiration. And so that, my friends, is our conversation today about The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron's beautiful bounty of work, 12-week sequence that is built around two principal practices. She calls them the basic tools. They are the morning pages and the artist's date. I want to invite you to give this a try. Give this a try. Honor yourself. Honor that inner artist child. Allow yourself to take a small amount of time out of your week. Put aside the adulting and nurture your creative self. Julia Cameron goes on to say there are miracles waiting to happen when you do this. And I believe it. I've lived it and experienced it, and the people I know who have been on this journey with me, they have too. So put your resistance aside. Allow yourself to indulge yourself in the privilege of honoring that creative part of yourself. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. That's why you're on this journey with me and all of my delightful guests. And on our next episode, we will be returning to an interview. So mark your calendars, save your downloads, plug yourself into subscribing to our channel, wherever it is that you pick up podcasts. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the love that you've been sharing with me and with my guests, and I am excited to continue this journey. Until we meet again, let's stay curious, my friends. See what you might discover on your artist dates this week, and do share with me where those adventures take you.
You are listening to the Create, Play, Live show, where women come together to share how curiosity and creativity lead them to extraordinary lives. I'm your host, Nanette Saylor, and I'm honored to share the mic with some truly amazing women who have asked and answered the question, what if we stop adulting and live every day with the curiosity of a child at play? In these enlightening conversations, we'll invite you to let go of outdated standards, make your own rules, and give yourself permission to play more than ever before. You have the power to create your life. Spend some time with us, and you'll learn to see life through new eyes and challenge yourself to new possibilities.
We may not solve the world's problems, but we will get you to think differently about your own. Come play with us. Listen and subscribe at createplaylive.com.